Hello and welcome to Polyglot Principles. My name is Modja and I'm a hyper-polyglot who speaks 8 languages, and I speak 4 of them at a very advanced level. This is the channel where I help ambitious language learners like you go from intermediate to advanced in your target language, and I do that by giving you a very deep and detailed understanding of the principles of language learning. So if you're the type of person who is ambitious, that means you're not happy with just doing a good job. You want to do an exceptional job. You don't just want to learn and get by in the language. You want to get really good at the language. And at the moment, you're kind of at the intermediate level, and or maybe slightly, you're more than intermediate, maybe advanced, but you want to become more advanced. If you're that sort of person, then this is the channel for you. And in particular, I'm not a person who likes to do shallow things. I like to go into detail, into depth into what I'm doing. So if you're the kind of person who also likes to understand how things work, to go in depth into the principles of language learning, then this is the channel for you. I make videos every Monday at 8 a.m. Central African Time. I publish a video. So if all these things apply to you, then be sure to like and subscribe to this this video and channel. Alright, so today's video is how to increase speaking fluency in a language. So we're going to be tackling that issue. So perhaps you're in the situation where you're wondering, hey, I'm intermediate, I'm advanced, I speak pretty well, but how can I become more fluent? I feel like I'm stuck, I'm not really improving, my speaking fluency is not going up. How do I increase my speaking fluency? What can I do? Well, then this is the channel for you. This is this video is exactly about that. And before we start, as usual, I have a question for you. I want you to write down, let me ask you this way, what methods can one use in order to improve their speaking fluency? Write down 4 ways, right? Pause this video, go to the comment section and write down 4 ways in which you believe someone can improve their speaking fluency. And then return to the video and find out if your list of, let's say, 4 things that one needs to do in order to improve agrees with my list. Or maybe you've included things I didn't include, or I've included things you haven't included. This will be a fun exercise. Alright, so pause and do that. Alright, now you're back. Welcome once again. So, I usually share tips, by the way, from the very beginning to the very end. Very useful tips. So if you don't want to miss out on anything, make sure to stay till the very end. Alright, let's dive in now. So let's start with the first thing. What is blocking your fluency? See, if you're not becoming fluent the way you want, there's obviously something blocking you. What's blocking your fluency? It turns out that there are 5 mistakes. 5 mistakes which, if you make them, guarantee that you're not going to improve. So it's important for you to know what those mistakes are before understanding even the contents of this video. You'll understand the contents of this video, but if you understand these 5 mistakes, it will make it much easier for you to guarantee that you're improving in a language. So in order to do that, I actually made a video on the topic, right? If you just go to the description of this video, there's a link to a video that I call the 5 enemies of fluency. These are the 5 things which are stopping you from becoming fluent in your target language. So make sure to watch that video. You could do it now, or after this video you could watch that. I'll put a link in the description, the 5 enemies of fluency. Alright, assuming that you now know what is blocking your fluency, let's now proceed to go into the actual methods. How can you increase your speaking fluency? So here's the first method. You can get feedback from a teacher or a master of the language. What does that mean? In order for you to improve, let's just talk about improvement a little bit. In order for you to improve at a language, it basically means that you're making less mistakes over time. If you're progressively making less mistakes, that means that you're improving. So whatever method we come up with has to be a method that involves you correcting your mistakes. So let's look at a few methods that do this. So the first one is just work with a teacher. How do you work with a teacher? Let me get specific here. So record yourself speaking, maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, whatever, right? Record yourself speaking. Then go through your recording with a teacher. So just to make things simpler, let's say you're trying to learn English. So you've recorded yourself speaking in English, and now you're with a teacher or a native, someone who's qualified to correct your speaking. Now you you go through the recording with the teacher and you go sentence by sentence. Let's say in one sentence you said, "I hungry." The teacher should correct you by telling you the correct sentence. "I am hungry." And make sure to copy the sentence. So if the teacher tells you it's not "I hungry," it's "I am hungry," try to imitate them. "I am hungry." And imitate them until they're happy with your imitation. If they feel that you've said the sentence correctly, move on to the next sentence. So what this method does is that it gets you to it corrects your mistakes, and thus guarantees improvement. The reason I'm telling you to repeat after the teacher, when the teacher gives you a correction, they tell you the correct sentence and you repeat after them. The reason I'm telling you to do that is because you want, just because, like for example, let's say you say, "I hungry," and the teacher tells you, "Oh no, it's I am hungry," okay? And you don't imitate the teacher or try to copy what the teacher is saying. It's very possible that you think you know how to say the correct sentence, but you don't know how to say it. What you really want is, in the future when you're speaking and you reach a situation where you need to use the phrase, you want the phrase "I am hungry" to flow out of your mouth automatically. The way to guarantee that this is going to happen is, when you're doing the correction, repeat after the teacher, "I am hungry." Copy what they're saying. The reason why you're copying what they're saying is that you're getting your tongue, first of all. Remember, this is strange, but you know, speaking is actually a motor skill. It's weird to think it's actually a skill of movement. You're not moving your hands really, but you're moving your mouth. You actually need to get your mouth capable, right? You need to get your mouth to say the correct thing. And this is why you repeat sentences. That way, when you find yourself in the situation, the correct sentence will just roll out of your mouth because your mouth already knows how to say it. If your mouth doesn't know how to say it, you're going to struggle and stutter a little bit, or very much actually. The other thing is also, you want to get your mind, you want to reinforce the correct thing. This is why I'm saying imitate the teacher. Now, the most sentences you correct in this way. You speak, you get a sentence, the teacher tells you the correct one, you repeat after the teacher. The more sentences you correct in this way, the more fluent you will become. This is a method that guarantees improvement. How do I know that it guarantees improvement? Because I use the method. I've used the method and I've seen tremendous results with it. Day to day, just actually, the really good thing about this method is that whenever you correct your mistake, in that moment you've improved. Whenever you correct a sentence, in that moment you've improved. So it gives you the feeling of improvement in addition to actual results in terms of your speaking capacity. So that's one method. You could use a teacher. The second method you could use to improve your speaking fluency is to use a translation program. Nowadays, thanks to technology, it's no longer, you don't need a teacher necessarily to improve, a human teacher to improve your speaking capacity. You can also use translation programs. Right now there's translation programs such as DeepL and Google Translate that are very, very good. DeepL is so good. Basically, I have done this before. I got a text, translated it into German using the DeepL translation program. It's available free. DeepL, DEEPL. You could just look it up on Google. I translated, I got a sentence in English, put it into the translation program. The translation program gave me the version in German. I got the German version and I showed it to native speakers and asked them about the quality of the writing. They said it was excellent. They actually could not tell that it was written by a machine. They in fact were unable to correct it. It was just written too well. There was nothing to correct basically. So this tells me that, hey, the quality of this translation program is really good, and you can use that to your advantage. Pick any program of your choice, DeepL or Google Translate. I personally prefer DeepL because it's better. My own assessment is better, or at least it's at least as good as Google Translate. It gives you synonyms, it gives you examples. The only thing it doesn't do is perhaps giving you pronunciation. But anyways, okay. So take any translation program of your choice. You're trying to improve your speaking fluency. So, as we did in the previous method, record yourself speaking. Record yourself speaking in the language. So just to make things clearer, let's suppose that you speak English and are trying to learn German. Okay, So do a recording of yourself in German. Speak in German into some recording device. Great. Now set your translation program to translate from English to German. Okay, you've done that. Next thing you do is pick a sentence. Pick a sentence from your recording. Let's say you had said, Ich Deutschland liebe. Let's say that's what you had said. Ich Deutschland liebe. Right. Now try to figure out what you are trying to say in English. And then, so for example, in this case, if you're trying to say, I love Germany, right, that was the thought you're trying to say. Get it in English and put it into the translation program. The translation program will translate your sentence into German. So it will go from I love Germany, and it will give you Ich liebe Deutschland. Compare the program's translation to what you actually said in your recording. I don't know if this is making sense to you. You had written, let's say, Ich Deutschland liebe. That's what you wrote. But the idea you're trying to express in English is I love Germany. So you get the word you get the sentence I love Germany, type it into the translation program, it will give you its German translation. So the program gives you a German sentence, and then you compare it with the German sentence you said. Now sometimes what you said and what the translation program says will be the same, which means you've done well. At other times, many times what's going to happen if you're not like already fluent in the languages, most of the time it's going to give you a sentence that is better than yours. Right? Pretty much guaranteed its sentence is going to be better than yours. So what you do is, when the program gives you a sentence, you trust the program's translation. And what you do next, you imitate the program. So if the program told you it's not Ich Deutschland liebe, but it's Ich liebe Deutschland, you say that, Ich liebe Deutschland. You try to read out loud. This is important, you're reading out loud in order to get your mind, as we said, and your mouth muscles accustomed to saying the correct sentence. So over time, what's going to happen, the more sentences you correct in this way, comparing what you wrote to the computer's translation of the same thought, and imitating the computer's translation and accepting it mentally as superior to yours, what's going to happen is that over time, you are going to become more and more fluent. The kind of sentences you say are going to sound more and more native-like. This is once again a function of the fact that translation programs nowadays are really, really good. They write sentences that are native-like, sentences that native level speakers cannot even correct. They can't see any mistakes. It's just a fluent, nice, well-written sentence. So this is another method that you can use. But I might want to caution you here. This method is powerful. Again, how do I know it's powerful? Because I use it. I have used this method to improve my speaking fluency in German, using a translation program without actually a human being there. But of course, the program is very good, but sometimes it makes mistakes. This is why you also need to work from time to time with a human speaker. Maybe not as often, but you need to spend some time with human speakers, also correcting your mistakes. That way they can help correct things that the computer cannot. Also, the other thing is that with the human has the capacity to analyze your patterns and identify patterns in your mistakes. At the moment, translation programs are not able to do that. But the human, I mean, a good example of this is, I was trying to improve my speaking ability using translation programs, and they helped me a lot. And then I got a recording of myself and gave it to a human German speaker to correct it for me. And the human was able to tell me certain mistakes that I'm consistently making, that the computer had never told me. So if you can combine both methods, it's even more powerful. Alright, so we covered two methods. Record yourself speaking and use a teacher to correct your mistakes. A second method is use a translation program. Record yourself speaking and use a translation program, right? Such as DeepL. The third method is drill difficult sounds and words. What does this mean? There are certain things maybe you're not saying properly. For example, if you don't know how to say the word exaggerate. Let's say you're trying to learn English and you don't know how to pronounce the word exaggerate. Maybe you say exaggerate or something. You struggle to pronounce the word exaggerate. What does that mean? Every time you start speaking and you have to use the word exaggerate, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna pause and say exa. You're gonna become hesitant, stammer a little bit, and that will destroy your fluency because you don't know how to pronounce the word. But if you learn how to pronounce the word exaggerate, you say it a couple of times, exaggerate, 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 until you know how to say it correctly. Now, when it shows up in a conversation, you just say it automatically, exaggerate. And this is the key. Identify sounds and words. This principle applies to words. It also applies to specific sounds. Maybe you have a lot of difficulty saying, let's say you pronounce R's as L's. That is going to destroy your fluency, obviously. So if you master a sound if you learn how to say a sound well that you were not able to say before in the language, that's going to automatically enhance your fluency. Every word that involves that sound is going to be enhanced. If you learn how to pronounce words that you were not able to pronounce before, that's going to enhance your fluency also. So this is one method you can use. Identify sounds, identify words that you struggle with. Practice saying them until you can say them flawlessly. That is, you can say them automatically without thinking about it. And then that will lead to a corresponding increase in your speaking fluency. So this might be one of the things that's actually stopping you. So that's the third method. We've covered two already. Have a human being correct your speaking using a translation program. Identify difficult sounds and words and practice them until you can say them automatically. The fourth thing that will increase your speaking ability is trusting your instincts. What does that mean? Have you ever had this experience before? You go for a job interview in your native language. And then when you go to the interview and they ask you questions, you begin to stammer and shake, and you can probably barely get a clear sentence out of your mouth. So your fluency in even your native language went down tremendously. It didn't go down because you don't know how to speak your native language. You know how to speak it, but you just became too nervous. You became too self-critical. You were doubting yourself, and as a result, you were underperforming. This is what I mean when I say trusting your instincts. If you distrust your instincts, if you question yourself and second guess yourself, your skill level is going to go down. I know many people like this. People who perform way below their skill level. Not because they have a low level of skill, but because they don't believe in themselves, they keep doubting themselves. Actually, a good story comes to mind. So the great, last I checked, the best chess player in the world currently is Magnus Carlsen, unless he's been taken off of his throne. But I saw an interview of Magnus Carlsen, the greatest chess player, the best in the world, was talking. And he was talking about how he's the best, but there are other players who are also good. He talked about how he would meet with maybe the number 2, number 3, or number 4 player, and they were discussing some chess moves. And what he noticed is that the people whom he was, like, these players that he was discussing moves with, who are not number 1, he noticed that they had all the knowledge. They knew all the moves he did. They understood the game well enough to win. But they didn't win. And the reason they didn't win is psychological. Maybe they're too self-critical. But what I mean is that there are psychological factors can affect your play. Psychological factors can dramatically reduce your performance. You have enough skill to be the best, but because you keep doubting yourself, you do poorly. With regard to language learning, imagine this. You're speaking to people in the language, but as you're speaking, you're doubting your conjugation, you're doubting your pronunciation, you're wondering if you're saying the sentences correctly. If you doubt yourself like this, if you distrust your instincts in this way, you're going to speak way below your level. So if you're somebody especially who has the habit of distrusting your instincts and second guessing yourself, if you get rid of this one trait, you're going to notice an immediate improvement in your speaking ability. Just take a simple approach. When you're speaking, just speak. If you make a mistake, keep talking. Don't self-correct, just keep talking. Accept that there'll always be mistakes in what you say and just keep talking. You'll notice that your performance will be better when you just keep talking than if you go back and continue to correct your mistakes and you second guess yourself and you doubt yourself and you try to speak perfectly and all this nonsense. Trust your instincts. In your native language, you already trust your instincts. I'm speaking English right now. English is my native language. When I speak English, I don't doubt myself. I just talk. I trust myself. But if I start second guessing myself, my skill level goes down. So do the same thing. Now, I'm not saying you should never self-correct or second guess yourself, but a good way to think about it is divide your training into practice and performance, kind of like a basketball player. A basketball player has practice mode. During practice mode, he's working on his moves, he's second guessing himself, the coach is questioning his ideas, he's self-correcting, he's very self-critical. That's fine during practice. But and this self-correction helps him to improve. But when he gets into the big game he plays, he trusts his instincts. He doesn't second guess his ability to shoot, he just shoots. This is the same. You could divide your language learning into two parts. There's a part where you're self-critical, you're trying to improve. And then another part is performance, where you speak in front of people, or you speak with people, and the goal is not to self-correct. The goal is to speak to the best of your ability. And so in those moments, you just trust your instincts. If you make a mistake, you just keep going. Your goal is just to communicate, just communicate, just communicate. Trust your instincts, and you'll find yourself doing better. In particular, I talk a lot about this idea of trusting your instincts and the other things that actually block your fluency in a language. The things that stop you from becoming fluent. If you want to know those things, well, then I have made a video about it. It's called The 5 Enemies of Fluency. Right? The 5 enemies that of fluency in a language. So just go to the description of this video. I'll have it linked there. You could click on it and learn what the 5 enemies are. One of them is distrusting your instincts and second guessing yourself all the time. So we've now talked about 4 methods that you can use to increase your speaking fluency. One was record yourself speaking and have a native or a human correct your speaking. A human who's good. Next, good enough at correcting at the language. Record yourself speaking and have a translation program correct your speaking. Third method was drill difficult sounds. Identify difficult sounds, drill them until you're able to say difficult sounds and words smoothly. Okay. The fourth one was you should trust your instincts. Stop second guessing yourself. Just trust your ability to speak. The fifth method that will increase your speaking capacity is automate grammar. Grammar has to be automatic. Look at your target language. And so look at your native language. In your native language, you're not thinking about grammar, you're just talking. Because grammar is automatic. This is key. The reason you're able to speak your native language so well is because most of the grammar structures have been automatized, made automatic. I'm speaking English right now. I'm not thinking about how to conjugate things. I'm not thinking about how to say things. I'm just saying them. And this is because English grammar is automatic to me. It's like breathing, you see. This is the level you want to get in your target language. So the more grammar you make automatic, the more fluent you will become. So here the method is simple. Take any grammar mistake that is most frequent for you. Maybe you keep struggling with the present tense, or you keep struggling with the conditional tense, or you keep struggling with passive voice, whatever it is. Take whatever grammar structure you're struggling with and do the following. Learn the rules of how to use that grammar structure. If it's the present tense, learn how to say things in the present tense. Okay? And once you've learned the rules, do exercises. This is important. Merely knowing the rules and watching videos about how to say things in the passive voice, how to say things in the present tense is not going to help you improve. I know some people that do this. They just watch videos on grammar rules and they think they're going to improve. That's going to lead to no improvement at all. So learn the rules, that's important. Because you need to know how to say things, how to use the tense. Next thing is do a lot of exercises. And in particular, do your exercises out loud. This is key because you want your mouth and your mind to become accustomed to saying using the grammar structure. Right? Because if you just do your grammar exercises without speaking out loud, you're going to be able to use them well while writing, but when you speak, you're going to still be hesitating. Have you met people who know a lot of grammar but are unable to speak any correct sentence? That's why you want to do your grammar exercises aloud while speaking. That way you can get your mouth and mind accustomed to saying them, right? So the first step in this method we said was figure out what grammar structure you're struggling with. Next, learn the rules of how to use the grammar structure. Next thing you do is find exercises that use that grammar structure and practice doing those exercises while speaking out loud. When you reach a point where you're able to use the structure automatically, you're able to use the grammar, the tense or the voice, whatever it is, automatically. Once you do that, then you can move. Then what you'll notice is there'll be an increase in your fluency. Whenever you're speaking and you have to use that grammar structure, you'll just use it automatically. And so this is the key again to, I remember when I was at the earliest stage of learning German, for example, I was struggling with the present tense, and then I took some time to drill the present tense, learn the rules and practice them. Immediately there was an increase in my skill level. So I know this stuff works because I've tried it. I'm not just blowing hot air here, right? So this is one thing, one other method, right? You can record yourself. We said now this is the fifth method I've given you, right? You choose which one to use or do all of them. It's up to you. Record yourself and have a human correct you, method 1. Method 2, record yourself and use a translation program. Method 3, identify difficult sounds and words and practice them until you can say them fluently. 4, trust your instincts, stop second guessing yourself. 5, make grammar structures automatic. How good you are at a language, how fluent you are is a function of how many grammar structures you have made automatic. The sixth method that you can use, actually before we go to the sixth method, I'd like to alert you that, hey, I republish videos every Monday at 8 a.m. Central African Time. The videos are designed to help you go from intermediate to advanced in your target language. So if you want to make sure to not miss out on these videos, make sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, hit the bell notification. And also, if you have any questions and you have any questions for me, well, you could send me an email. Questions, criticism, encouragement, whatever. I want to hear it. My email is polyglotprinciples@gmail.com. The email is also in the description below. Send me an email and let me know what you're thinking. Ask me your questions. I may actually spend some time answering them. So, actually, at the moment, yes, I'm answering. I have time to answer your emails. Okay, so the last method one can use. Oh, by the way, everything I've said right now is available in written form. So I've been talking about this stuff, but I have written it down in detail. If you want to really understand everything I've been saying, make sure to go in the description and click. There's a link there that's going to take you to my written notes, where I've written every idea that I've talked about here in detail. So if you listen to this and then read those notes, your understanding of how to increase your speaking fluency will be tremendously enhanced. In fact, this is actually all you need in order to start improving your speaking fluency. All right. The sixth method you can use to increase your fluency is expand your speaking repertoire. What do I mean? Well, let's look at fighting, for example. Let's imagine that I'm a mixed martial art fighter and all I know is how to box, right? I'm a good boxer. All I know is how to box. That's great. So long as I'm a good boxer, I can do a lot of damage with my punches. However, imagine that I knew how to box, but I also knew Taekwondo, which means I'm also a good kicker. Now I've become more dangerous. My repertoire has been expanded. It includes punches and kicks. Those are the tools I have available to me to fight. Now I'm a more dangerous fighter because I can punch you, but I can also kick you. So I'm more unpredictable. Now let's say I also spend some time to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now I'm also a good grappler. If I get you on the ground, I can outmaneuver you. So now I'm more dangerous. My repertoire has been expanded to include 3 skills: punching, kicking, and grappling. You see, The more skills I acquire, the larger my repertoire is, the more skills I have at my disposal to fight, the more dangerous a fighter I am. This is truly a dangerous fighter, someone with a huge repertoire. Well, there's such a thing as a repertoire in language learning. Your repertoire includes things like vocabulary. The more vocabulary you have available to you, the more you can say, the more dangerous you are as a speaker. The more grammar structures you know, right? If you only know how to say things in the present tense, then you can't really, you'll be able to say a lot, but you'd be able to say more if you knew the present tense and the past tense. If you knew the active voice, you can speak well, but if you knew the active and the passive voice, now you're able to say more. You're more dangerous as a speaker, right? So this is, your repertoire is the grammar that you know, the grammar structures that you know, the sentence structures that you know, the amount of vocabulary that you know, the amount of tools at your disposal, the sounds in the language that you've mastered. The more you expand your repertoire, the better you will get. So this is another way to improve fluency. Is one thing we've talked about is you correct your mistakes. There's another way. Correcting your mistakes is one, but there's also something else that you can do. If you're correcting your mistakes, you're still working in the realm of your known. Like, again, let's take our example of the boxer. The boxer is learning how to punch. If you work with a coach and the coach is correcting his punches, he's going to become a better and better puncher, but it's not going to make him a better kicker. When he learns how to kick, he has improved, yes, but now he has added a whole new way of fighting. He's added a whole new dimension to his fighting capacity. This is the same thing with language learning. If you get people to just correct your speaking, and they correct your speaking, what they're going to do is they're going to refine the speaking skills you already have. They'll refine your sentences that you used. But that is not going to increase your repertoire. This is a little different. Your repertoire will involve learning things that you didn't know before. For example, in my case, there was a while when I didn't know how to say conditional. Things in the conditional tense in German, I didn't know it. So I couldn't talk about what I wish would happen, what I wish happens, what would have happened, what should have been done, and so on. I didn't know how to say that stuff. So what I did was I spent time just adding the conditional tense, Konjunktiv 2 in German. I spent time adding this conditional tense into my repertoire by the methods I showed before, learning the rules and doing a lot of exercise until it was automatic. And now the imaginary tense is available in my repertoire and I find myself using it automatically. Right. So this is key. This is also something that you can do. Now I've already given you 6 methods here. Record yourself speaking and have a human correct you. Record yourself speaking and use a translation program. Drill sounds and words that you struggle with. Trust your instincts. Automate grammar. Expand your repertoire in order to be able to do more with the language than you're currently able to do. And these are enough for you, I think. But one thing I want you to notice, don't be rigid. These are methods, not principles. Principles don't change. Principles cannot be disobeyed, but methods can be altered. There are many ways. So you could take the methods I've given you, use them, and then maybe adapt them to fit you, whatever works for you. So I make videos every Monday at 8 a.m. Central African Time. And the videos are as you can see, my work is detailed. I told you, stay from the beginning to the end. Why? Because every minute is going to provide you with useful information. And you can see why I'm saying that. So to make sure that you get these videos every time I release them on Monday at 8 a.m. Central African Time, make sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, that way and hit the bell notification, ding ding ding, that way you'll be notified whenever I publish new videos. If you have a question for me, send me an email, polyglotprinciples@gmail.com. The email is also available in the description of this video. Send me an email, ask me a question, criticize me, encourage me, whatever you want to do. I want to hear from you. I'm here to serve you, so I want to hear from you. And if you liked what I was saying now, I have it written in greater detail. So if you go to the description of this video, you'll find a link that gives you my notes to this particular video where I explain everything in detail. If you watch what I'm saying now and you read those notes, your understanding of how to improve your speaking fluency will be tremendously enhanced. Unless you know everything I already know. Right. So, alright, thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Bye.